At one end of the rules spectrum are the rules of chess. At the other end of the spectrum are the rules of physics. The rules of chess are pure game rules. They are totally artificial, man-made, and they can be changed. The natural laws of physics are unbreakable, and they exist and operate the same everywhere throughout the universe. Chess players play chess with the game rules as restrictions. Physicists and engineers build bridges with the laws of nature as restrictions. People live their daily lives with the laws of the land as restrictions. But we know these political or legal game rules can be changed. Where on the spectrum are the laws of economics? Are they man-made game rules that can be changed, or natural laws that can't? The test of a natural law is, does it hold true across the universe? An apple falls on Earth according to the law of gravity. An alien apple on an alien planet falls also according to the same law of gravity. Hence, gravity is a natural law. If the laws of economics are natural laws, then advanced alien civilizations, with all their robots doing all the work, all across the universe, will actually look like this. Eons upon countless eons, billions of years of total 100% alien unemployment. Whatever an alien can do, a robot could do it better. And the reasonable assumption that the aliens don't suffer this problem, and this is ridiculous, this means that the laws of economics actually have got a lot of game rules in them. And the good news is, these game rules can be changed. Whatever the aliens are doing that allows them to enjoy a full life, free from work, not suffering unemployment, but enjoying it, we with all our labour-saving machines and computers on Earth, we need half of it, now. The artificial, man-made formula the economy runs on at present is called the Sisyphus equation. Net retained profit of business after dividends, business including the banking sector, as well as commerce and industry, equals business fixed assets, including stock as it happens, plus net consumer debt, plus net government debt, plus net foreigners debt. And this equals, in more summary form, business fixed assets plus the net debt of the total non-business sector to the business sector. I'm using the sectors here as defined in the national accounts. This formula works as a cumulative and also as a per year or per month basis. The various components in the Sisyphus equation can vary from year to year and country to country. It might look like this. And another time the net consumer debt might be higher in proportion, or the business fixed assets might be higher. But the bottom line is this: if business does its job well and makes a profit, then every year after year everyone else goes into more and more debt to fund this profit, individuals, governments and foreigners. When these sectors have maxed out on their debt, they then can't afford to buy the goods made by business, and so we get a recession. Hence why it's called the Sisyphus equation. Sisyphus rolls the hill of the ball of progress up the mountain, but at the same time, because of the artificial Sisyphus equation, it's also taking debt with it. And then that'll cause the whole thing to roll back down again, and we keep on doing it forever and ever. Without greedy management, without lazy workers, striking unions, interfering politicians, without Wall Street bankers, hedge funds, without fractional reserve banking, without any of the usual suspects, the economy goes into yet another recession, just because of the artificial game rules. A quick demonstration of the Sisyphus equation can be seen by taking the numbers from the national accounts. The numbers for the UK national accounts 2002 Blue Book look like this: 443,000 billion pounds of net retained profit of business, most of which in 2002 was made up from consumer debt. Back then there would have been mortgage debt and credit card debt. Nowadays, student debt is a large factor in consumer debt. Student debt isn't just about getting students to university, it's also about helping maintain the net retained profit of current business. The German model. Let's see what the Germans are doing, see if they can give us any clues. The German economic model attempts to balance the retained net profit of German business by having the foreigners, the rest of the world, go into debt for it. Germany is a chronic net exporting nation. Year after year it exports more than it imports. Germany does not export to pay for imports. Germany net exports to balance its net retained profit of business. And this is good for Germany. German companies can have healthy profits. Germans don't need to go into debt to fund it. It's foreigners who bear the burden of the debt required by the artificial Sisyphus equation. If business makes, say, 5 things, some German looking cars there, business will have to pay for them to be made. And it'll pay workers, and it'll pay management, and then it'll pay bank interest on the loans for the machines it's made and its working capital, it'll pay shareholder dividends, taxation, landlords, suppliers of various types. At the weekend, the workers, the management, people in receipt of tax benefits, shareholders, everybody who's received any money from the company turn into consumers, so they can buy the produce of German business. They have €5 in their pockets to spend, because that's the cost of the goods. And this cost of the goods is the same on sale, is the same €5 they have in their pockets. And so to make a profit, business charges €6 in prices. And this is the perennial problem we had. The costs of all business equals at some stage in the game money consumers have had. It's €5, but prices are always higher than the total of everything they've ever had before. This causes a problem. To solve this perpetual week in, week out misbalance, whereby, once again, there's the cost, which is the money consumers have, I'm putting that down as €5, and the prices are always going to be €6. What Germany does is it gives 2 cars away to foreigners. So what would have been a domestic crisis, with the cost of these cars being €5, the workers only have €5, workers, business, everybody. The sale price is now €6 for the company to make a profit, and so we have a problem. Somebody goes into debt, or the cars remain unsold and we get a recession. Suddenly, by giving 2 cars away, it becomes domestic heaven. There's only €3 of cost of cars on sale, which they can sell for 3.6 and still make a profit. The workers have got €5 to spend, and all these cars can fill up German streets, and the money to save is €1.4. Consumers can make a saving. In a net exporting situation, everyone except the foreigner is a winner. Consumers can afford to buy the goods in the shops. Business can sell all the goods in the shops for a profit. There can be plenty of goods to fill up the shops. There is even money left over for savings for the consumers. And despite too much money chasing too few goods, in this case €5 to spend but only 3.6 euros in goods to spend it on, there is little inflation due to competition. It's an historic thing of German business. So what is happening in the German balance sheet? German business takes out a loan from a bank. When you hear of a loan from a bank and banks making money out of nothing, you have to remember that in the real world, money is actually 2 things. It's a debit and a credit on the balance sheet. This is the bank. This is the business version of the balance sheet. So there's a current account of €5 and a loan account of €5. For the bank, it would be the other way around, and the loan account would be an asset, and the current account would be a liability. And then the German business gets rid of those €5 and replaces it with cars, which cost €5. It spends that money paying workers and management and everybody else. So there's the cars sitting on the balance sheet, valued at €5. Then what happens is it sells 3 of those cars in the domestic market. It books a profit of 1.2 in each one, and so you have a little bit of a 0.2 on each one, a little bit of a profit there. It's got some money back, and it has a couple of cars left. And then what it does is it gives those 2 cars to the foreigners. The foreigners in exchange don't give them any money, they give them an IOU, some sort of international debt, basically. Sometimes ends up as government debt. It's this IOU from the foreigners. This is where the rub is. This is where the major problem is, or the major solution, indeed. The IOU from foreigners of €2.4, the foreigners can't pay it, and the Germans don't want the foreigners to ever pay it, because imports can only be really paid for with exports. And Germany does not want to be a net importer to allow the foreigners to pay for their imports at an earlier time. These IOUs from foreigners in the German business balance sheet are essentially false accounting entries. They are in receivables, but they will never be received. Solution: half an alien financial system. NEFS, net export financial simulation. We can use this false accounting entry idea to solve our financial problems like this. Create the 5 things exactly as before. We have 5 cars, we have €5 in people's pockets to spend it, and we have the price at the moment is 6. But this time, instead of giving 2 cars away to foreigners in exchange for a false accounting IOU that will never be paid, Germany itself creates its own false accounting IOU that will also never be paid, and gives this IOU to the German people. So instead of solving the Sisyphus equation like this, whereby we give 2 cars away to foreigners and we have €3.6 in sale of goods, but we have €5 to spend it on, so 1.4 savings like that. The Sisyphus equation can be solved like this. Germany pretends that it made 7 cars and gave 2 of them away to foreigners by keeping all 5 cars. Then Germany pays an extra €2 to German people, backed by its own false IOU, a NEFS IOU, Net Export Financial Simulation, NEFS. So Germany financially simulates a net export situation. And once again, instead of giving 2 cars away to the foreigners in exchange for an IOU that will never be paid, it keeps the cars it made itself and gives away money to Germans to buy those cars, balanced by its own IOU that will also never be paid. So a net export financial simulation will look like this. We've made the 5 cars, we've paid out €5 to the workers, they're on sale for 6, but the NEFS money of 2 has been made up and given to the consumers, not the workers, so it doesn't form part of costs. So they have €7 to spend. Full price is 6 in the shops, and so they can save €1 as well. This means Germany will be a lot richer. German consumers will have 5 things instead of 3 things to consume without going into debt. Or, if 3 things is all they really wanted anyway, they could work a 3-day week instead of a 5-day week. Their wealth could then be in their free time to live, and they can still have the car they want as well. Germany can be full of cars. This is getting it more like the alien situation, where they work less and less and less, but they still have full access to every consumer good they need. The new NEFS equation, to replace the Sisyphus equation, will look like this. Similar to what it does before, except we have NEFS here as an added feature, and the NEFS will take more and more prominence as time goes on. The NEFS process looks like this. A NEFS institution is established, or for instance, a national bank is authorized to act as a NEFS institution. This NEFS institution, the bookkeeping entry is simply debit NEFS IOU of 5,000 euros, credit German people 5,000, and the NEFS institution sends checks to every German, divided by how many Germans there are. When the Germans bank these checks in their high street, they then have money in their bank accounts to spend. There's no more inflationary than money from net exporting, and is no less a false accounting entry than showing an IOU from a chronic net exporter as a valid payable item. After the Germans have banked their checks, the balance sheets look like this. We have the NEFS institution of £5,000 as an asset, and the interbank balance with commercial banks as their liability. The commercial banks have that interbank balance as their assets, and the current accounts of Germans as the liability. This NEFS IOU, this false accounting entry, actually has a lot of real truth in it. We drive the car of civilization by looking at its financial speedometer and financial fuel gauge, money. But money has proved itself many times over to be a false gauge. The money says empty, but the real world shows full. Many times in history, the bailiff's wrecking ball has been sent into the real world to flatten it to make it match what is shown on the financial gauge. But is this the true way to fix things? If a car fuel gauge says empty, but your fuel tank is full, do you fix the fuel gauge so it says full? Or throw the fuel in your tank away to match the gauge? Given the problem caused by prices being higher than costs, which means we always need to get more money from somewhere else other than wages, which eventually form costs, I suggest it as a true accounting entry to show these NEFS IOUs as a true asset. If we can afford to make it, then we can afford to consume it. The NEFS IOUs can represent the real asset of the ability of the nation to both produce and consume, and go home early and enjoy life like the aliens. Net export financial simulation, NEFS.